Complete darkness, no stars, no moon, no horizon. A 45,000-pound fighter jet sits on a moving deck in the middle of the ocean. The pilot can't see beyond his cockpit. One wrong move, and he's in the water. Yet, in just 2 seconds, that jet will go from 0 to 165 miles per hour and disappear into a black void. Only one group of aviators in the entire world attempts this: U.S. Navy and Marine Corps pilots. Every other nation refuses to even try. What you're about to discover is how American sailors pull off the impossible, night after night, in conditions that would terrify even the bravest souls. But here's what most people don't know. The pilots aren't doing this alone. Behind every successful night launch, there's an entire crew of sailors executing techniques so precise, so coordinated, that a single miscommunication could end in catastrophe. These men and women operate in near total darkness, using nothing but colored lights, hand signals, and years of training to make split-second decisions. Introduction. Night carrier operations represent the pinnacle of naval aviation. While civilian pilots land on runways stretching thousands of feet, our Navy pilots land on a moving postage stamp in pitch-black conditions. The techniques sailors use to launch these jets at night are unlike anything else in aviation. From the color-coded crews racing across the deck to the electromagnetic catapults that hurl aircraft into darkness, every detail matters. The procedures developed by the U.S. Navy over decades have made them the only force capable of sustaining round-the-clock carrier operations in any weather, anywhere in the world. Let us know in the comments what impresses you most about our carrier crews. The night deck environment. Step onto a carrier flight deck at night, and you enter a different world. The deck is bathed in red floodlights that preserve the crew's night vision while providing just enough illumination to work. Aircraft appear as massive shadows against the darkness. The roar of jet engines mixes with the crash of ocean waves against the hull. The flight deck is essentially a choreographed dance performed in near darkness. Every person has a specific role, and identifying those roles instantly is crucial. That's where the color-coded jersey system becomes absolutely critical. Yellow shirts are the aircraft directors. At night, they carry lighted yellow wands that glow in the darkness. These sailors guide multi-ton aircraft within inches of each other using nothing but hand signals and those illuminated wands. Green shirts operate the catapults and arresting gear. They're working with equipment that generates incredible forces, enough to accelerate a fighter jet to takeoff speed in less than 300 feet. Purple shirts, nicknamed grapes, handle aviation fuel. They're connecting and disconnecting fuel lines from aircraft carrying thousands of pounds of jet fuel in the dark. Red shirts have perhaps the most dangerous jobs. They arm the weapons on these aircraft, live missiles, bombs, and ammunition, all while working around spinning turbine engines in low light. These same sailors also form the crash and salvage crews, ready to respond instantly if something goes wrong. Brown shirts are the plane captains. Many are fresh out of boot camp, yet they're responsible for the final inspection of multi-million-dollar aircraft before that jet launches into the night. White shirts are the landing signal officers and safety personnel. They grade every landing and provide critical guidance to pilots. This color-coded system isn't just for organization. In the chaos of night operations, it's a survival tool. Pre-launch procedures. Night launches don't just happen. They're the result of carefully timed procedures that begin 45 minutes before the first jet leaves the deck. The process starts in the ready rooms, where pilots receive their final briefing. They study weather conditions, review their mission parameters, and synchronize their watches. Then they head to the flight deck for aircraft walkarounds using flashlights to inspect their aircraft in the darkness. 30 minutes before launch, engines start. The sound is deafening, even with hearing protection. One by one, the jets come to life, their turbines spooling up with a scream that cuts through the night air. 15 minutes before launch, the real choreography begins. Aircraft are taxied from their parking positions to the catapults. This is happening in limited visibility, on a deck that's pitching and rolling with the ocean swells. The carrier itself turns into the wind. This is crucial because the ship needs every bit of natural wind across the deck to help generate lift for the departing aircraft. As each aircraft moves onto the catapult, its wings spread. Behind the jet, a massive panel called the Jet Blast Deflector rises from the deck, protecting the crew and equipment from the incredible heat and force of the jet exhaust. Have you ever wondered how these young sailors stay so calm in such high-pressure situations? Drop your thoughts below. Now comes a critical moment. The final checkers perform their last inspection in the dark, with engines running. They're looking at flight control surfaces, making sure the wings are locked in position, checking that all panels are secure. The ordnancemen step in. Red shirts move forward and arm the weapons. Live missiles, real bombs, actual ammunition. They're doing this while standing next to engines powerful enough to suck them in if they get too close. The aircraft is now hooked to the catapult through a launch bar attached to its nose landing gear. A holdback bar connects the rear of the landing gear to the deck, preventing the aircraft from moving forward until the catapult has built up sufficient pressure. The catapult launch. Let's talk about the catapult itself, because this is where American engineering truly shines. For over 50 years, the Navy used steam catapults. These systems worked by routing high-pressure steam from the ship's nuclear reactors into massive cylinders running the length of the catapult track. When fired, the steam would drive pistons forward with enormous force. The physics are staggering. A steam catapult can take a fully loaded fighter jet weighing up to 50,000 pounds and accelerate it to 150 knots in just under 300 feet. That's about 2.1 Gs of force, enough that pilots describe feeling like their arms and legs might separate from their bodies. But here's what makes night launches even more complex. The catapult settings must be precisely calculated for each aircraft based on its weight, the wind over the deck, and current conditions. Too little power, and the jet doesn't reach flying speed, it drops off the bow into the ocean. Too much power, and the sudden jolt can damage the aircraft's airframe. This is where the catapult officer, also called the shooter, becomes critical. This officer verifies all the catapult settings, checks wind conditions one final time, and gives the signal to launch. Before we go further, please take a second to like this video and subscribe. Over 98% of viewers watch without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but makes a huge difference to us. The newest carriers now use the Electromagnetic Aircraft Launch System, or EMALS. Instead of steam, EMALS uses electricity and linear induction motors to propel aircraft. The system was first installed on USS Gerald R. Ford in 2015 and was officially certified for operations in 2022. EMALS provides several advantages for night operations. The acceleration is smoother and more controlled, putting less stress on both the aircraft and the pilot. The system is more precise, reducing the risk of launch failures. Now, picture the final seconds before launch. The pilot has run through all pre-flight checks. The engines are at full military power. The catapult is under tension. The pilot performs one last check of the control surfaces. Then comes the signal everyone's waiting for. The pilot salutes the catapult officer. At night, the pilot turns on the aircraft's exterior lights. This is the unmistakable signal. I'm ready to launch. The catapult officer makes one final visual check. He signals the catapult operator. A button is pushed. The holdback bar snaps. The shuttle rockets forward. The jet accelerates from 0 to 165 miles per hour in roughly 2 seconds. The pilot is slammed back into the seat with incredible force. And then, just like that, the aircraft is airborne, disappearing into the black void with only its navigation lights visible. For a few seconds, those lights climb upward. Then they vanish as the aircraft makes away on its mission. This process repeats every 30 seconds during a full launch cycle. It's a testament to American naval power that no other nation can match this tempo. Night recovery operations. Launching jets into the darkness is incredibly difficult, but bringing them back, that's where things get truly intense. When it's time for recovery, those jets have been flying for hours. Fuel is running low. Pilots are exhausted, and now they have to find a moving ship in the middle of a dark ocean and land on it. The improved Fresnel lens, optical landing system, known as the IFLOLS, or simply the ball, is the pilot's primary visual reference. This system uses fiber optic lights projected through Fresnel lenses to create a precise glide slope indicator. The pilot sees a yellow light, called the meatball, positioned against a row of green datum lights. Quick question for veterans out there. Did you ever witness a night carrier landing? What was that like? Share your story below. At night, this system is critical because it's often the only visual reference the pilot has. The ocean below is black. The sky above is black. Without the ball, there's no way to judge altitude or position, but the IFLOLS is just part of the system. The landing signal officers are the real key to safe night recoveries. LSOs are experienced naval aviators who've been specially trained to monitor and control landing aircraft. They stand on a platform on the port side of the landing area, exposed to the elements, watching every aircraft come aboard. They're in constant radio communication with the pilots, providing real-time corrections. Every LSO call must be precise and immediate. They're watching the aircraft's position, its rate of descent, its alignment with the deck center line. They're also monitoring the ship's motion because the deck is constantly moving with the swells. If an approach looks dangerous, the LSO has the authority to wave off the aircraft using bright red flashing lights that the pilot cannot miss. When everything goes right, the pilot crosses the ramp at the stern of the carrier at precisely 400 feet altitude and 3/4 of a mile from the ship. The aircraft descends at about 700 feet per minute. The pilot calls the ball. The LSO responds, "Roger, ball," and takes control of the approach. Those final seconds are pure concentration. The pilot is flying to keep the meatball centered while maintaining proper lineup and angle of attack. The LSO is monitoring everything, ready to call corrections or wave off if needed. The tailhook catches an arresting wire. The jet goes from 150 miles per hour to 0 in about 1.2 seconds. The force is so violent that pilots describe feeling like their body is being torn apart. But they're down. They're safe. And within seconds, that aircraft is being taxied out of the landing area to make room for the next jet. This process continues until every aircraft is recovered. Sometimes in rain, sometimes in rough seas, sometimes with aircraft that are damaged or low on fuel. The LSOs and deck crews handle it all with calm professionalism. Every single pass is recorded and analyzed. Pilots receive grades ranging from perfect passes down to dangerous approaches. This constant evaluation ensures that standards remain high. The human element. Behind all this technology and procedure are real people making split-second decisions in extreme conditions. The aircraft directors with their yellow wands are guiding aircraft that can't see clearly in the dark, on a deck that's moving in 3 dimensions, often in weather that civilians would consider unsafe for any outdoor activity. Plane captains, many barely out of their teens, are entrusted with aircraft worth over $60 million. They're the last set of eyes on that jet before it launches. If they miss something, the consequences could be fatal. The catapult crews are working with forces that could kill them instantly if something goes wrong. These sailors operate this equipment in the dark, often in rough seas, and they do it safely thousands of times per year. For those who served on carriers, what was the toughest part of night operations? Let us know in the comments. What drives these sailors? It's not the paycheck, it's not the fame, it's something deeper, a commitment to excellence, a dedication to their shipmates, and a pride in serving their country at the highest level. The culture aboard a carrier demands perfection because anything less puts lives at risk. Every landing is graded. Every launch is reviewed. Mistakes are identified and corrected immediately. These sailors do this job day after day, month after month during deployments that can last 7 months or more. They're away from their families, living in tight quarters, working 12-hour shifts or longer. Yet they maintain their focus and professionalism because they know their shipmates are depending on them. Modern advances. The techniques we've discussed continue to evolve. The introduction of emails has already changed launch operations, making them safer and more efficient. As a 2022 USS Gerald R. Ford had completed over 8,000 launch and recovery cycles with the new system. China recently became the second nation to deploy electromagnetic catapults when their carrier Fujin completed its first catapult launches in 2025. However, sustained night operations remain a challenge that only the U.S. Navy has fully mastered. New software systems called precision landing modes are being installed on carriers to help automate portions of the landing process. Even with this technology, LSOs remain essential for safety oversight. Training has also advanced. Virtual reality and simulators now allow pilots and deck crews to practice night operations in a safe environment before ever stepping foot on an actual carrier. Despite all these technological advances, the core element remains unchanged. Skilled, dedicated sailors executing complex procedures with precision and courage. Conclusion. Night carrier operations represent the absolute pinnacle of naval aviation capability. The techniques American sailors use to launch and recover jets in complete darkness are unmatched anywhere in the world. From the color-coded crews working in red-lit darkness to the LSOs guiding pilots home through pitch-black conditions, every element requires skill, courage, and unwavering commitment. These men and women don't do this job for recognition. They do it because they're committed to defending our nation and supporting their fellow sailors. They do it because excellence is the standard, and failure is not an option. If this video gave you a new appreciation for our carrier crews, hit that like button and subscribe for more content honoring our military. Our sailors deserve our respect and support for the incredible work they do every single day.